Hello and welcome back to Talking Giants, brought to you by SeatGeek. And the New York Football Giants lose another game. They lost to the Saints by a score of 26-14, and we are in hell. The Giants took on the 0-4 Saints team, had a 14-3 lead in the second quarter, and didn't score a single point for the remainder of the game. Jaxson Dart made his first string of mistakes in his NFL career, with a miss to Slayton on a flea flicker, a fumble, 2 interceptions, and as a team, the Giants committed 5 turnovers in 5 consecutive drives and handed the Saints, on a silver platter, their first victory of the season, and handed us Spencer Rattler his first win as an NFL starting quarterback. Shaun, I said on Thursday, if they lost this game, that every single good thing you established last week, it's thrown out the window, and even some members of the organization should even think twice to even go on that plane coming home. So guess what? I'm fully ready to say that, and I'm fully ready to talk about it. How are you?
Hold on. There we go. Sorry, I lost my mic connection for a second. I'm not ready to say that, Justin. I'm not ready to say that.
Oh, come on.
I think we got reminded of something that every Giant fan needs to be reminded of today. And I don't care if this sounds like pom-pom waving. You go through struggles and lose games you think you're going to win when you have a rookie quarterback. You do. And rookies, as a wise Tiki Barber once said, rookies suck. Cam Scadaboo fumbling that football. Jaxson Dart fumbling that football. Now, there's a million other reasons they lost the game. The guy that you pucker up to, Darius Slayton, big reason why. But ultimately, it's this. I hate to alert Giant fans. The team wasn't a playoff team just because they added Jaxson Dart to be the starting quarterback. They're going to win a game, 2, 3, 4. Who knows that you don't expect them to win, and they're going to have performances like today when you expect them to win. And that's how playing with now it gets magnified if you have a coaching staff that may stink. It gets magnified if you have a general manager that may stink. But games like this happen when you have a rookie quarterback, and it was on full display with that fumble with Jaxson Dart in that moment.
Games like this can't happen in year 4. I don't care what year the rookie. I don't care what year the rookie.
But stop with the year 4. It's not year 4. It's year 1.
No, it's not.
That is where Giant fans get nuts. Is this the kind of podcast we're going to do right now?
Yes.
Do we have to do this right now? I'll explain this to you, Justin. Yes, it's year 4 of Brian Daboll. Yes, he may very well get fired at the end of the year. But we need to stop with this year 4 crap, because it's not year 4 when it comes to the fundamental of the coach having a quarterback. Now, it may only last 1 year. This is now year 1. Because the organization won a playoff game in 2022, you need to stop thinking of this like it's year 4. It is year 1. It's a brand new year with a new quarterback, with the coach that got the quarterback. Unfortunately, it is now year 1, not year 4.
But even outside of the quarterback, mistakes are being made on this team. This defense is still, the defense is horrible, despite there being good players up and down.
Yeah.
The game day management. I don't really want to go to this right now, but I guess we're going to.
We can because this game is so Joe Shane. I'm going to tell you right now.
But who's responsible for putting together the roster, the game day roster? I will add, not just the roster, the game day roster. Did you hear Brian Daboll? Which we will play it. I have the audio. Did you hear Brian Daboll's explanation as to why they didn't elevate or signed Lil Jordan Humphrey? They went into this game with 2 open roster spots. You can't tell me that is just a Joe Shane thing. That has to also be Brian Daboll and his roster on game day and what he feels like he needs to be successful on game day.
Okay. Do I think that Brian Daboll, after one good week last week, where there were reports about, he's going to do it his way and the possible fractures between him and Joe Shane, do I think that he was a good sport after the game and fell on the sword today? Yes. Do I think that Brian Daboll didn't want another receiver up here, another running back like I screamed about last week? Yes. What I think this came down to, very arrogantly by the New York Giants today, is simply put their 2025 finances, whatever that minute number is, when you activate guys, or dare I say, sign a wide receiver to the 53, they are trying to buy time and buy weeks, especially with this being a short week coming up the week after. I think it comes down to finances. Now, why is it coming down to finances? How could a team that's been this bad be this tight against the cap? Well, you're not willing to kick money down the road and play this game with signing bonuses and everything else the Eagles have. Everything that the Giants and this general manager has been unwilling to do showed itself today. This is why they lost the football game. Why is Graham Gano on the team? Like, all of those moves led to what they did. They played, game day gymnastics, or didn't play enough of it. I put that on the general manager. You want to put it on the coach? Fine. I think it's on the general manager.
And I also think specifically, you mentioned Graham Gano short. Like those are roster decisions that need to be made.
Because you don't have finances, because you carry a guy like that. That's why.
I mean, they did it in 2022 when it wasn't even their fault. They would do the roster gymnastics and move money around it. They were doing it week by week towards the end of 2022. If it's going into a football game thinking that we're just going to run 12 personnel and 13 personnel and that being okay just because we're playing the New Orleans Saints, and there's no way that we're going to be down by multiple scores in the second half. And then and then Darius Slayton gets hurt, by the way. Forget the fact that he couldn't hold on to the football for his life. And it was one of those top 3 Darius Slayton disaster games, which I guess the fact that you can power rank Darius Slayton disaster games is a problem within itself.
Yes.
So forget that fact that he couldn't hold on to the ball. He was out and hurt in the game, and they're down by 12 points. And you have Bo Collins, who's not running a route and is causing a Jaxson Dart interception, and Jalen Hyatt, who does nothing, Shaun. So I don't even know if it's fully worth, because I agree with what you're saying. I don't even know if it's fully worth arguing, and this is why I say year 4, and I think the year 1 shit should be thrown out the window.
You know what?
It should be thrown out the window because they're making these mistakes over and over and over again, and how they manage the roster together, Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. And even just besides the fact, 5 turnovers and 5 drives. I understand there are rookies that are making some of those mistakes, but it's an undisciplined team, Shaun.
All right. So let's just kind of throw this in a blender so we don't let this podcast spiral. Very, very, I mean, it is only podcast 3 between Justin and myself here on Talking Giants. Finally, some hardcore disagreements.
Some head clashing.
I will bend a little bit. When I say it's year 4, not year 1, like, yes, you do have to factor in some of the stuff. And clearly I'm upset at the general manager here. It's year 4.
Yes, and I am too.
Okay. I say that to say, I guess the overarching point I'm trying to make here is whether Brian Daboll is brought back or not as a result of Jaxson Dart, to me, is irrelevant to today's game, in which the fact that New York Giants lost to New Orleans Saints. Okay, let me just paint the, where to play the blame game picture, okay? Penalty-wise, I mean, there was a large portion of this game where I was almost stunned that the Giants weren't getting called for penalties. And now the final number will dictate a little something different. I didn't think this was one of those games that we've seen this year where penalties completely annihilated the New York Giants. As far as preparation goes, I don't know, man. I saw some actual stuff coming off of not having Malik Neighbors, like little things like the flea flicker, that Dart didn't get enough underneath, and that you're throwing the ball. I thought that was good execution there. I even liked the play to Wan'Dale Robinson that they ran, where it all made us clench our butt cheeks to get the first down. I actually thought they were, and they should be, pretty freaking innovative at moments this week with the game plan. But it comes down to some of the same crap we've been talking about. And to me, it just comes down to the actual players on the field. Tyler Nubin stinks. Tyler Nubin is here because they used a 2nd-round pick, and he has not been anything. We all want to talk about that draft class last year. He has not been anything like we thought we were going to be promised. Yeah. That's, to me, a monster reason why you lose on the defensive side of the football. Also, the fact that the Saints did enough preparation and getting rid of the ball quick, throwing some, the Wildcat stuff. They kept the sack game off. You got to get sacks. Giants didn't get there. As far as the 5 straight turnovers, and you putting blame on, well, it's undisciplined, that's the head coach. Let's just kind of walk through step by step what those turnovers were. First one, Darius Slayton's fumble. To me, of the 5 turnovers, Justin, it's the most atrocious one in the freaking game. As you're driving, that just can't happen. And it comes on the heels of 2 Darius Slayton drops. Darius Slayton's ball security and ball handling, I know that, insert joke there, has been something that has been a problem his entire career. And the Giants are the ones that went back to the well and signed him and allowed him to be the next man up if Malik Neighbors was to ever suffer an injury. And his backup is Jalen Hyatt, a draft pick that for some reason they refuse to give up on. That is on the general manager. That's what I mean. That's turnover number 1. As far as the Dart turnover goes, dude, that can't happen. He's going to learn from that. But that, if it's Dart in year 2, 3, 4, I'm screaming and yelling. He lost his head. Okay, that was a rookie mistake. Cam Scadaboo. We love having Cam Scadaboo in this backfield and all the moves he makes. He puts the ball on the ground there. He immediately takes to Twitter after the game. He apologized. That's a rookie. I think a rookie will get it. I don't think Dart, and I don't think Cam Scatterbo, and I don't even think Darius Slayton's 3 fumbles in a row there are anything but coaching. Like, I think it was 2 rookies that make a bonehead to play and a veteran that always does what a veteran does. As far as the picks go, Dart, first of all, that one pick was as good as a punt on a 4th down. And, the other punt pick was like an Eli Manning pick where he's just trying to make something out of nothing. So, while
you're down by 12 at that point anyway, the game's over.
Dude, exactly. All I'm saying is, if you watch the game and you take out of context and you bring up the stats about, 5 straight turnovers, nobody's ever done that, look how horrible this was. And they were horrible. But if we take them on an individual basis, tell me how any of that is on Brian Daboll.
It's not this game that's like, this is the game that is really now making me decide that Brian Daboll's the coach. It is the accumulation of what we've seen over the last couple of years. Like, all right, you got your guy in Dart. You got your guy, you got your team, and it's like, all right, you got better players here. You need to beat the New Orleans Saints. You need to beat them, and they did not. And not only did they not beat them, they lost by 2. They lost by 2 scores.
Their players they count on did not play well enough to make up for a game where a rookie quarterback who got off to a hot start. I mean, it's been 5 years, Justin. It was 5 years since we saw the Giants score on their back-to-back first possessions and touchdowns. They did not do it. Like, Brian Burns didn't do enough. Kayvon Thibodeau didn't do enough. Dexter Lawrence didn't do enough. God knows that secondary didn't do enough. And Darius Slayton, and even to an extent, Wan'Dale Robinson did not do enough to elevate this team to help out the rookies they are counting on greatly that were in the midst of making serious mistakes for the first time in their NFL careers. That is point blank, period. And that is on roster building to me.
But one of the, and you're right. But
you don't have to just say I'm right. By the way, it's fine if you disagree. That's what my eyeballs are telling me.
I do not disagree with what you're saying. But also, I think you are remiss in not including how I really think, like, why is the game over when they're down by 12 in the 4th quarter? The game is over because you don't have wide receivers, because you can't throw the ball, because through the first 2 weeks of Jaxson Dart, the longest play that they've had is a Jaxson Dart 20-yard run. That's it.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
And nobody planned on Malik Neighbors tearing their ACL. That's also part of this too.
Okay, and that's a huge thing, and you can never replace Malik Neighbors, but you could also plan on depth. We knew the wide receiver depth was going to be a glaring issue all year long back in August. This team thumbed its nose and for some reason kept Jalen Hyatt. If that Dunleavy report before the year was accurate, I don't know why you wouldn't take even a pick swap for him before the year. I mean, what he was doing running cardio down the sideline just with no effort back to Bowl was terrible. Bo Collins is just, I mean, that guy is not ready to play NFL snaps at wide receiver, as you could see. Is that on the head coach? Is it the head coach's fault that these wide receivers are not good enough? You want to say he's not coaching them up? Okay, fine. Like, I guess I can hear that argument. To me, I think this general manager has left the coach's cupboard bare. And look, the coach has done enough of his own problems, and we're not going to get into it. Should he get fired? Would he get fired? I don't know. The big reaction after this game talking about, oh, my God, Brian Daboll. And it seems like you're more cumulative, and that's fine.
Yes, 100%.
And I'm no longer in the camp of, hey, Jaxson Dart has to be tied to him. Like, I'm fine if they hire another coach. I'm just saying, inevitably, in the end, I am furious at Joe Shane and what he did with this roster today, more so than I am with the head coach and the fact that they lost to the New Orleans Saints.
I'm furious with losing, Shaun. I'm furious with getting embarrassed. I'm furious with there was an expectation to. I mean, they didn't just get their ass kicked from start to finish, Shaun. They were up 14-3.
Yeah.
They were up 14-3. I have the situation wrote down 14-3, and then you have the Darius Slayton. I think it was 14-6 at this point. Man, when did that Slayton fumble come at the end of the half? Because they missed that kick.
I believe it was 14-6, but can I do you one better? I'll throw this in now. I know we're kind of jumping.
The flea flicker. I think the flea flicker, it was 14-3, and then they don't complete that, and then it eventually turns into, oh, no, here's what it was, Shaun. Here's what it was.
Is it going to get to my secret turning point of the game nobody's talking about?
No, which, by the way, I didn't think of that. I'm a bad guy because I'm just so mad.
You might say it. That's what I'm curious.
Go ahead. You give it to me. I don't have my shit together right now. I'm too
okay,
mad.
So it was right. So during this whole sequence, when it's 14-3 and you're trying to push the envelope, 14-6, the game started to cascade for me on this moment. I think it's the not so obvious turning point of the game, and that is Devin Singletary's got to catch a football. That swing out to Devin Singletary puts the Giants in a terrible third down spot to which they punt, I believe, for the first time all game. That might have been when Jamie Gillen came close to having it blocked. I could be getting the punts confused, but that stopped the momentum of scoring on 3 straight times. It was the drive before the flea flicker. That, I think, directly led to the next play down the field that led to that Saints field goal that began the chip away. But that was the first major mistake, is we're throwing this little route outside to Devin Singletary. He drops it. Then they kick the field goal. Then you come back. You have the whole mixed up with the flea flicker. Then they hit the big play to Shaheed. The whole thing was a disaster from that point forward.
Yeah, Dart was 11 for 16 with 2 touchdowns, 110 yards at the half. And you're talking about 13 for 16 and way more yards if you're talking about, especially if Darius Slayton comes down with that ball. And then, of course, you just talked about good decision by Dart, working his way back to the line, and the Devin Singletary drop too, which then also leads to the Deontay Banks defensive pass interference.
Oh, God.
Darius Alexander gets his first quarterback hit of his career. Javon Holland interception. Nope, that's not actually it, because Deontay Banks gets a defensive pass interference. But yeah, I mean, Shaun, I like I said, I don't mean to fight with you, Shaun. I feel like
it's great. That's good, man. That means we're getting chemistry. Let's go. New era of talking Giants. Punch me in the face. Punch me right here. Punch me right here. We lost to the Saints.
You can't. We're in hell. And I don't know how to get out. I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of it, man. This is what Daboll had to say after the game. We'll play this soundbite, and maybe we'll talk about some other stuff. I mean, I honestly feel like we just talked about a lot in 16 minutes.
We did.
Well, this is what Daboll had to say after the game. Dan Duggan asked him, why didn't you activate another wide receiver? I mean, we were talking on this show for the preview pod on Friday.
I was stunned.
We were talking about Jordan Humphrey's going to be activated. Like, that was kind of like an obvious thing, and I guess it wasn't so obvious. So, Brian Daboll, why didn't you activate another wide receiver or even sign another one, since he had 2 open roster spots heading into this weekend?
Why not bring up another receiver there? Yeah, felt good about where we were at relative to our plan going into the game and what we were going to try to do with the multiple tight ends. So we'll see what happens next week. But you had to know there's a chance you get in a situation where you could lose a guy, and like what happened, like that's obviously a possibility. So you didn't think that was necessarily a possibility. You can lose 2 running backs and have no running backs. It's the NFL. There's injuries are going to happen. We had 5 receivers. We had 4 tight ends in case something happened to one of the tight ends to be able to continue in what we were going to use throughout the game. So we'll see how it goes.
So the plan was working. The plan was working, by the way. Like, them running 12 personnel and utilizing Daniel Bellinger. Daniel Bellinger winds up being the leading receiver on the team in terms of receiving yards. Theo Johnson has 2 touchdown catches, by the way, was awesome, looking like a legit red zone threat. So the plan was working, but as a coach and as a coaching staff, how are you not thinking of and planning for every scenario, which is it's such a far-fetched scenario that you're possibly down by multiple scores in the second half, and then you need to throw the ball, where you're running out of 12 personnel, not out of basically anything out of 11, over 50% of the time in the first half. And then in the second half, when you need 3 wide receivers, you're running out of that 80% of the time. And by the way, like I said, Darius Slayton, they showed him on the sideline. He apparently he was hurt, and it wasn't just a benching thing. Darius Slayton's hurt. So it's Jalen Hyatt, Bo Collins, and Wan'Dale Robinson running around out there for you, man.
Yeah. It's a massive miscalculation. Again, I have no proof of this, and if you guys are on the stream right now or listen to the podcast and you're angry at me thinking I'm a Brian Daboll defender, that's fine. I believe Brian Daboll went with what was fed to him by this front office, which was, we need to play the long game with these wide receivers. They know they only have 3 elevations before a little Jordan Humphrey has to be added to the active roster. And all right, they probably went to Daboll. Can you get by in this game with what you have? Here's the problem, though. Even with the 12 personnel, it's still the idea that you're relying on Jalen Hyatt and Bo Collins anyway. Like, even if Darius Slayton didn't get hurt in this game, you're relying on them anyway. Like, this team cannot afford to have both of those guys taking snaps. You want to tell me you don't want to give up on Hyatt? That's fine. Then you got to do better than having an undrafted rookie be the next man up who has his own drop issues to begin with and seems like he has no idea where he's running a route. And if you want to tap into Bo Collins and kind of bring him up as an undrafted rookie, I'm fine with that too. But then you got to cut your losses with Jalen Hyatt, who's a complete one-trick pony. And albeit not even good at that. Not even good at that, running down the field because he makes no effort back to the ball. Like,
ball hit his hands, Shaun. There was a ball that hit his hands.
Malik Neighbors' injury magnifies it, but even without the Malik Neighbors' injury, this was a major issue.
Yeah.
Go back to, okay, great. Gabe Davis wasn't healthy enough at the time. You had a full week here. And I guess it's even worse because now you play a game on Thursday night in a short week. Like, you're not getting anybody else in here on a tryout basis that's suddenly going to be ready to play a game on Thursday night. So again, it probably has to be little Jordan Humphrey. Well, it almost has to certainly be, because how do you expect Darius Slayton to probably even be able to play in 3 days?
Yeah.
But it's complete malpractice. It's not as bad as the whole kicker scenario from Kansas City when you haven't learned your lesson, but it's right up there, man. Like whatever's going on collaboratively, whether I'm wrong or right, really is irrelevant. Some of the roster decisions when you are weak in areas are just frankly inexcusable. And you know what, Justin, if 20 minutes in, that means I've come around to the idea that's what you're talking about in year 4. It is completely mind-blowing.
Yes, because it's been
I can meet you halfway on that.
It's been years of the same mistakes that somehow, now, is that the reason why the Giants lost the game? No, they lost the game because they committed 5 turnovers on 5 fucking drives in a row. That's why they lost the game. But
really, it's the 3 fumbles. Let's not even do the picks. It's really the 3 fumbles.
Yeah, and I mean, one of them was, but still, it's always just fun to say 5 turnovers and 5 drives in a row. That's why they lost the football game. But it's when you lose games like this, you don't give yourself even an opportunity to, number one, try and come back, and also number 2, everything is just amplified when you lose football games like this. Shaun, I got to talk to you about something before we keep going. Today's episode is sponsored by Hims. Confidence shouldn't be complicated. Through Hims, you can skip the guesswork and get access to care that actually fits your lifestyle. Straightforward, stress-free, and designed around you. Through Hims, you can access personalized prescription treatments, options for ED like hard mints and SexRx plus Climax Control. Hims offers access to ED treatment options ranging from trusted generics that cost 95% less than brand names to hard mints. If prescribed, this one isn't a size-fits-all care option this isn't one size fits all care that forgets you in the waiting room. It's your health and your goals put first with real medical providers, making sure you get what you need to get results. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more. I would not be a good offense coordinator reading off a card. Visit hims.com/giants. That's hims.com/giants for your free online visit. Hims.com/giants. Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or a quality prescription required. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information. I've always wanted to be a coach. Let me back that up. It's my dream one day to be an assistant high school coach. I think I just proved right there I cannot be an offense coordinator reading off a card very fast.
Your dream is to be an assistant high school coach?
Yes, I love high school football so much. Every single week, it is the best brand of football that I get to watch. North Jersey high school football is awesome. Bergen Catholic, where Walker Snee is playing right now at quarterback. Carson Shane, quarterback for Don Bosco. And then, of course, my St. Peter's Prep. I want to be an assistant high school football coach one day.
Justin, I think that's great. I think it's great that you're in a hotbed for high school football. You need to dream a little bigger about your dreams, though, brother.
Do you want to even talk about how Brian Daboll joked about Brian Daboll joked what did he say about 2 running backs?
Yeah, okay. You shouldn't have 2 running backs. Like you should have elevated Turbo Millie. Like, yes, you could lose 2 running backs. No kidding. You should have had little Humphrey here. But again, think about everything with only the 3 elevations. You got to do Jude McAtamney, right? You need to do that going on. You need Neville Hewitt on this team. They're out. They have left themselves, because of injuries that happen every week in the NFL, which he acknowledges, in a spot where they don't even have enough elevations off the practice squad to fill all these positions. That, end result, end cut, that's what's going on with this team. It's a total nightmare. But regardless, I think unless you sign anybody, Jaxson Dart's development is the most important thing in the weeks that come forward. Maybe not for. I think it is from our fan standpoint, isn't it? Let's be real here on Talking Giants, okay? Last week was awesome, and we wanted to win this week, and we wanted to be 2-3 and dream going into Philly. I don't deny any of that. We're also not morons as Giant fans. The team stinks. They lost 2 division games to start the year. The most important thing for all of us is the development of Jaxson Dart. That doesn't mean tied to Brian Daboll. That's not what I'm saying. But in terms of development, get him wide receivers that can win routes, or at least have the size like little Jordan Humphrey to go up and get balls, as opposed to what Jalen Hyatt is doing. He needs to be up in this next game, because to me, the losses are one thing. If you're giving him Bo Collins and Jalen Hyatt, you're going to crush his development. And now these gutless losers lost the baseball game too. I've had it. New York sucks.
The Knicks are back.
Great.
You were on.
So you disagree? You don't think his development moving forward is the most important thing for this Giant team?
Well, you know what? For the New York Giants as a franchise, yes.
Okay.
Because especially at this point, I think I'm rooting for that to not include Joe Shane and Brian Daboll.
So in terms of wins and losses, we're in a great spot. We're not going to root for losses for tanks, and we're not even getting into that on one Giants.
We don't even have to root for losses. I think they're just going to lose. I can't. Shaun, there's 12 games. These next 12 games, I think they're going to be so long, Shaun.
I disagree. I think they're going to have a couple moments. Now, the couple of them will be long, but my point is, at this point, I'll say it. Who gives a flying fuck about Brian Daboll and Joe Shane's future as the Giant fan right now? To me, in terms of I just want to make sure that Jaxson Dart is put in the best situation, which right now, offensive line-wise, seems like he is. He even slid today, shockingly. These wide receivers, you cannot let them enter games where it's 3-foot-tall Wan'Dale Robinson and Bo Collins and Jalen Hyatt and Darius Slayton's your number one, who drops 1 million passes his entire career. Like, that cannot be the case. Now, does that mean go trade your second-round pick for a wide receiver? No. But at least bring in somebody with some. Is it Isaiah Hodgins? I don't know. Is it little Jordan Humphrey? I don't know. Is it the ghost of Odell Beckham Jr.? I don't know. But this can't be the answer, because that's what it's about more than anything, is developing the quarterback.
I appreciate your optimism. I'm still mad at you that you said to me last week, do you think Malik Neighbors possibly tearing his ACL could be the best thing for Jaxson Dart's development?
Can I try
I'm mad
to
at
find
you.
positives? You know what's so crazy? Today it was the third quarter, and the Giants are losing at the point. And there was another play Dart made. You can tell he was dealing with adversity. My dad turned to me. Didn't even know my dad knew how to get podcasts up on his phone. Had no idea. And he goes, you and Justin on Talking Giants, you brought up the idea of Dart being better. I think there might be something to that. I looked at my dad. I go, Dad, not now. Not now.
I mean, I guess I want to talk a little bit about we just talked a lot of big picture stuff.
I know. And I hate doing that, but I do think it's a big picture kind of game.
I agree. Because, man, you lost to the Saints. And we'll talk about the defense too. I think Dart played well outside of the big mistakes. But I think he made better throws against the Saints than the Chargers. I thought he, in general, was more aggressive. He was hurt by drops.
Definitely.
So, I mean, I still walk away from game 2 of Jaxson Dart, and I'm overall pleased. Would you agree?
I agree. And again, we have very much schooled with the Eli Manning era, depending on how old some of our listeners are, the Eli Manning rookie year, the Daniel Jones rookie year, and understanding that you always take the good with the bad with the good with the rookie quarterback, right? So, and then it's just about a summarization after the game. I believe that Jaxson Dart is going to understand that he can't fumble the football like that and how to tuck it away. I believe I saw Jaxson Dart kind of learn from his running issues in game 1, and he protected himself more. Now, it wasn't always perfect today, but I think that matters game to game, because you want to see Jaxson Dart learn from problems, right? And correct said problems. So I think that was a win today. Jaxson Dart corrected problems from game 1. He now created other problems that he's going to have to create in game 2. If Darius Slayton fights back for a football on a flea flicker, and Darius Slayton and Cam Scatterbo themselves don't fumble, we're talking about a 2-3 Giants team despite all those problems, and we're giving a lot of credit, and the stats look a lot better to Jaxson Dart, correct? So I do think I do think I am positive. If I could be put on the truth couch, though, like if I'm on Dr. Melfi's couch here in The Sopranos and tell you one thing that is bothering me a little bit, again, having watched a lot of Ole Miss, but it's against college defenses, having watched all the preseason, today there was one thing that worries me about the future of Jaxson Dart. All of his deep shots, they are not exactly effortless. It doesn't look exactly smooth coming out of his arm. And look, let's be honest. I mean, the flea flicker itself, I still think Slayton's got to fight back and do something back, but he doesn't lay that out in front of him. And I did feel like that was a theme beyond that play today. Even the Jalen Hyatt plays, even though Hyatt stinks. And does Neighbors bail him out and make these plays? Probably. But I think the deep ball has a lot left to be desired here in Jaxson Dart's arm.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody ever said, and if you thought this, I think you're going to start to work your way back. I don't think anybody ever said that his arm was just electric and it was godly and it was untouchable and it was, anything like you saw from the big three last year, like Jaden Daniels, Drake May, or Caleb Williams. If his arm was anything like the big three from last year, then guess what? He would have went, even compared to Penix throwing the ball deep too. I think he would have went higher than where he was picked in 22nd overall in the draft if his arm was more lively. Right. But it's not. I think it's good, which I think you saw like that Slayton throw that Slayton dropped. I thought that was a really good throw. Like I even think Russ's, arm is better in terms of a deep ball, both accuracy wise and 100% arm strength wise. But it's going to be so important for Dart because sans Malik Neighbors, sans is, it means without in Latin. Mm-hmm. Without Malik Neighbors, your deep ball opportunities, and I think overall your explosive play opportunities, they're going to be extremely, extremely rare. It is not going to be nothing is going to be easy for this Giants offense. I think here moving forward, especially if you look through the next month, 2 out of the next 3 games being against the Eagles, 1 of them being against the Broncos. I think the 49ers is even thrown in there too. Nothing is going to be easy. Nothing for this Giants offense over the next month. So anytime that there is an opportunity to convert something explosive and something deep, you kind of have to take it and you got to have it. And today, Dart did not have it. I mean, the ball to Slayton, the flea flicker to Slayton, that ball needs to come out a little bit earlier. Yeah. And also it needs to be out in front of him.
You need to lay it out in front of him. And I think that does worry me. And again, this has been a big theme here. We're talking about the wide receiver room and all of this. He's in a spot where it's very unfortunate, where basically the entire playmaking of the offense is going to fall on the rookie quarterback and his arm talent or his, ability to kind of scramble away and make plays. He does not have a single playmaker on this team that is going to go up and make a play for him, like point blank period. The drops are one thing. I mean, like 50-50 balls, any of that stuff like we saw at Hyatt today. And that worries me. If you don't have that complete Josh Allen type arm, or you're not Mr. Magoo like Patrick Mahomes, it's very difficult without playmakers for any quarterback to go figure out how to make plays. Like this isn't Jaden Daniels with Terry McLaurin in his rookie year here. So this is going to be an issue. And I think that is going to be my number one concern for this offense moving forward is just that there is zero ability for anybody to create a play unless Jaxson Dart's putting it completely perfectly in their numbers.
Little Jordan Humphrey had a nice day on the couch. Known contested catch guy, Little Jordan Humphrey.
Wouldn't that have been nice?
That would have been nice. What turnover? I think there's a correct answer here. What turnover hurt you the most?
It's the Slayton play.
The Slayton fumble at the end of the first half?
Yes, I do. Because I think that was the moment. I think you were scoring, and I think it's a completely different mindset at halftime for the New Orleans Saints if the Giants in that swinger either score a touchdown or kick a field goal. Now, you're going to tell me the Scattaboo, I assume, is going to be where you're going, and no doubt that hurt, but I still think it's the Slayton one because I think at least you go into the locker room and you look and you go, we have this. I think at that point, by the time Scattaboo fumbled, I thought the avalanche had already begun.
You're right. The Slayton fumble, that was at the end of the first half. The Giants had good field position. They were likely to get at least 3 points in that drive. Plus the second play of that drive was a 14-yard completion to Cam Scattaboo. Then the Slayton play, which is a nice play, and then of course he fumbles. The Saints wound up missing a field goal, so it kind of was even though would have been Giants plus points on the board, but it didn't impact the score at that time. Here's why I say the Cam Scattaboo one. I tweeted out before this drive started, and this was I was hyping myself up because it's like, damn, I know ball. I felt at that time, I'm like sitting back being like, all right, well, you have all these turnovers. You have Dart making the mistake to Slayton deep. You have Slayton fumbling. You have the Jaxson Dart fumbling. The game needs to settle down at that point. The start of this drive, it was at the end of the third quarter, then it even went into the fourth quarter. It was the middle of the third quarter. I think the game needs to slow down right here. I think the offensive line, they're actually running the ball decently well. I think you hand it off to Cam Scatterbo. I think you hand it off to Devin Singletary. I think even you throw in some play action in there. I think the game needs to slow down for Jaxson Dart a little bit more. I honestly think you can rip off a long drive. And this is Mr. Explosive plays, and long drives are bad, and long drives are the devil because somebody's going to make mistakes. Well, behold, somebody did make a mistake. So the Cam Scatterbo fumble hurt because the Giants were in the middle of a 13-play, 55-yard drive that lasted over 7 minutes and went into the fourth quarter. You punch a score in there and you're up by 2, and momentum flips back in your favor. Instead, Cam Scatterbo fumbles, and that was the final straw. So my very so subtle turning point of the game is that, Shaun.
Yeah, look, I can't argue that with you, and it's pretty unacceptable. And there's probably a degree of bias when it comes to why I'm choosing the Slayton one, because again, I am willing to give a rookie like Scatterbo, who has put everything on the line for this team and has been basically willing this team at times over these past couple weeks, the benefit of the doubt of going, that's the first time you've put the ball on the carpet. It's an inexcusable place of where it happened. Immediately after the game, you had no problem taking to social media to say, guys, that, Giant fans, that can't happen. Like, I'm okay with Cam Scatterbo fumbling the football there because I understand that he's going to learn from it, and I understand that he deserves the benefit of the doubt. The Slayton one to me is completely inexcusable for like a million reasons, and where it happened, that's a different game at halftime. And you know what? I'll get to some of those reasons. I'm going to get this off my chest. This guy is such a fraud if he goes in the all-time Giant receiving yardage record books, touchdown record books. And I'm not saying he's not a nice guy. I'm not saying that he hasn't been a part of some really bad teams and at times hasn't been a shining light. But as a wide receiver, to have he may not have the cumulative, like, lead the league in drop stats, the massive drops that he has had over the course of 5 years, 6 years.
Big moments.
Big moments. I mean, Washington on a Thursday night. I mean, if Xavier McKinney doesn't make a tackle at a playoff game, we look back at that playoff game. Today, not one but 2 plays before that even fumbled where you drop, where you just know, dude, it's your first game up. And I think I really, 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 as a Giants fan, content creator, talk show host, insert all of it, or just a human being, I really soured on Darius Slayton once and for all when he quote tweeted the entertainer about acting like, these other wide receivers who weren't, nothing, you crediting old neighbor stuff. The moment he did that, you better grow a pair of hands, forget balls, and hold on to every ball the rest of the year. And already we are in a spot in game 1 without Malik Neighbors where he was a complete detriment to the team today. I am so far out on Darius Slayton as a wide receiver 1 or 2 on the New York Football Giants, and I loathe the fact that this team re-signed him in the offseason and couldn't do better.
Yeah, man. It's so crazy because if Slayton just kind of does what he does, it does what he's supposed to do, then we're sitting here and we're probably talking about a Giants win, and we're talking about how Darius Slayton made the most out of his opportunities from game 1.
Yeah.
And instead, now we're here and we're having a similar conversation about Darius Slayton. I couldn't believe
It's not a one-off, Justin. It's not a one-off with this guy. It's what kills me.
I couldn't believe, Shaun, like, the drop that he had, it was in his hands.
Yeah.
And he like looked like it was being very close to securing it. And then it somehow comes out. And man, I want to tread carefully here because this is not X's and O's and this is not schematic, because sometimes with drops and it's like, dude, just don't do it. Like that's been the conversation that the conversation that Bobby and I would have over the years is, dude, just stop doing it. Just don't do it. Like that's the answer with drops. But man, Darius Slayton, it seems like there is a very lackadaisical attitude about him. And I think inside the building, he's a good leader. But I think certain guys that have come up over the last 2 years for the Giants, they are intense dudes. They are dudes that hate losing. They are dudes that are not liking getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
And I think this guy, for one too many bad moments and one too many losses, not saying that he's okay with it, but these moments just seem to happen because I think there is a lack of attention to detail when there's been so many times that he's made mistakes and so many times that he's been part of teams and part of moments where they've lost it at the very last second, where I called it Stockholm syndrome, that when he re-signed, it's like, dude, why don't you just go to the Chargers? Why don't you just go to the Falcons? Why don't you just go to another team that I feel like Darius. I honestly feel like Shaun. Darius Slayton leaves the Giants, and he has, along with we're putting Darren Waller and Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney and
Sterling
all,
Shepard
and all these guys. Like, look at these former Giants doing well. I honestly think if Darius Slayton were to do that with the Giants, you would see, like, we would be like, oh shit, here we go again. But while he's here, man, this is the type of shit that you're seeing.
Justin, I wholeheartedly agree. And again, I'm not trying to make Darius Slayton out to be like some kind of bad person and not deserving of a team captainship. I personally just believe he's a losing type of player. And whether that's the Giants' fault for what he had been around, whatever, and he needed a change of scenery. I go back and I remember that night going when Darius Slayton re-signed thinking, wow, I'm shocked he is re-signing. And now I think about it more, and maybe we shouldn't have been shocked. Because maybe there were two things at play here. Number one, the league not thinking he was nearly as good as we internally valued him at. We thought we got him back at a steal. And now you kind of look at other contracts across the board. Like, what was Darius Slayton really going to get from another team? And just furthering beyond that, I think that the Giants themselves had Stockholm Syndrome off of Saquon Barkley, Evan Ingram.
Yeah,
some of these guys, Julian Love and Xavier McKinney. I think the Giants were more scared of Darius Slayton going somewhere else and being a very useful wide receiver that they were like, you know what? We'll show that we're willing to retain our own because we haven't shown that under the Joe Shane regime. And this will be the first guy as a team captain. He's well respected that people will look at and go, oh, this regime does keep their own. And I think right off the bat, we're learning again, they kept the wrong guy. Because of their mistakes letting other guys go, they kept a guy and were over-reliant on him. And if they had kept him, but also gotten rid of Jalen Hyatt and really, I'm going to use the Gabe Davis line, although he's not making an impact anywhere, but just, insert whatever wide receiver here to that room where it was less reliant on Slayton and they brought him back. Maybe it's otherwise, but you left it in a spot where you were one Malik Neighbors injury away and you knew he had toe and back problems and all this anyway, where this guy was going to be your number one wide receiver. And he has been the least bit reliant in his career. And the kicker game with the Chiefs, this is we put too much stock in bringing Slayton back game for me.
How many touchdowns did Darren Waller have today? 7?
I only saw one.
That's what we only saw. Today's episode is sponsored by DraftKings. NFL fans, what's your favorite touchdown? Because for me, it's the next one. I don't know about my favorite team, but for me, it's the next one. How about the Sunday night game tonight? Because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From first touchdown score to anytime touchdown props or the thrills of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. Here's the best part. Sign up with code JAMFOOTBALL. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code JAMFOOTBALL. That's code JAMFOOTBALL to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with the DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Now, speaking of touchdowns, Rashid Shaheed, good touchdown draft pick by me. But yeah, let's talk about the defense.
Good for you.
Good for me. I thought it was a great game plan by Kellen Moore. I don't think that was a very compromised offensive line. And man, were those guards getting their ass kicked. I mean, the amount of wins that I saw from Darius Alexander, DJ Davidson. Yeah. I mean, Roy Robertson Harris almost had a sack today. Should have got Spencer Rattler down on the ground. The only quarterback hit of the day. The Giants had one quarterback hit. The only quarterback hit of the day was registered by Shaun. Do you know?
Was it Darius Alexander?
No, actually, that actually should have been a quarterback hit. I don't know why they didn't count that.
He definitely hit the quarterback.
Oh, you want to know why? Because it was a penalty. That's why.
So the only quarterback hit of the day for the New York Giants. This is really sad because that was the only one I remember of the day. Let me just see if I could quickly. Are you going to tell me it was like somebody random? I'm forgetting, like a Darius Muasau?
No, it was Nacho.
Okay.
Can't tell you when. So Spencer Rattler had a time to release of 2.62 seconds.
Dude, he was getting rid of the ball quick at all aspects. And by the way, the shame on the Giants have felt unprepared every time Taysom Hill came into the game as well. I mean, how many times in years do you got to see this? And that was throwing off their pass rush a little bit. But no, the Saints are well prepared. That's how you should diagnose to play a New York Giants team. Get rid of the ball.
Spencer Rattler said, you run a simple defense, and then the Giants responded by running a simple defense. I understand the offense committed 5 turnovers. That is what basically lost them the game. But Shaun, there were even plenty of drives where the Saints were moving the ball up and down the field, and good on the defense for forcing field goals into touchdowns. But this is a Spencer Rattler-led offense with a very, very compromised offensive line, and you were still allowing drives. You were still allowing game-scoring drives down the field, and that 87-yard touchdown to Rashid Shaheed. I mean, that kind of shit just can't happen. And I'm really sick and tired of hearing from. I know it's been a common theme out of the Giants brass and people that talk about the Giants that work for the Giants that say, well, the Giants defense is good outside of a few bad plays. Well, guess what? The few bad plays kind of define the game. So
no, it's literally the whole game. Yes, exactly. The few bad plays are the whole game. Look, defensively, man, big time problem. What's happened? Can I propose something to you that I think is worth talking about? I haven't seen anybody bring it up or mention, but I think we need to start having the conversation. Dude, should Dane Belton be getting a lot of Nubin snaps going forward?
I don't know what the answer is with that. I have no clue.
Okay, I only say it to say, obviously, we're doing this before we've totally reviewed tape. At least Dane Belton, when he's been on the field, shows up somewhat. Like you can kind of pinpoint, oh, that was a decent play by Belton here. That was like he seems to be, I don't know, giving them enough as the third safety. Tyler Nubin is quickly catapulting up to massive disappointment in a long line of him for this like regime's draft picks here for me. And the angles he takes and that long play to Shaheed where, I mean, I think it was highlighted on the broadcast where Holland is giving him the eyes. Like I got that stuff over the top and he completely bites. Like he's bordering at points on this defense from being unplayable. He's good for a touchdown giving up a game. It feels like.
I think that's a tough assignment to even begin with on Shaheed. Okay. But if Holland is telling him to get over more to that side, like, I got this, you go and cover Shaheed because he's going to run right around you. What happened to you?
Okay, so full disclosure, we're doing this live. I came down here at the end of the Yankee game. I was trying to get my Sunday ticket going on. The Cardinals blew a 22-6 lead and lost to the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome.
How the hell did that happen as we were doing
I think before we started, it actually was 22-6.
Yeah, and they lost. They lost 23-22. How the hell did that happen? Congrats, Cam Ward, on his first win.
Congrats, Cam Ward. And Tony Pollard actually had a respectable fantasy day. You want to know what? Can I tell you something? I'm going to tell you something right now.
Okay.
I have Tony Pollard on my fantasy team. Before we recorded this, I already benched him for next week because I wanted to send him a message. I wanted to send a damn message. He had like 2 points at the time. He had 2 points. Guess how many fantasy points he ended with?
6.
14.8.
14 points. So he must have had a touchdown at the end. I don't know why I said 6.
I sent a message. Guess what? Back in the lineup next week. You earned it, bud.
You know what? That's why you should live your dream as an assistant high school coach, because you're sending messages to Tony Pollard. I think that's great.
And he heard it.
You know how we get to like miscellaneous stuff at the end of this podcast?
I don't know. You know what? We're kind of there. Yeah.
Can I give you one?
Yeah.
We were within a shoelace of what I think would unintentionally be the most hysterical moment of Giants football in the last 3 years. Do you know what that is?
Was there funny moments today? The Kool-Aid guy in the crowd was pretty funny.
You know what? Screw him. I've had it with that guy too.
The Kool-Aid guy?
That was not what I was referencing.
Okay. Tell me the hilarious moment.
Deontay Banks almost returned a kick for a touchdown.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's...
Dude, we might have something here. To take a line from Joe Beningo, bro, we might have something here. Deontay Banks might be a good kick returner.
Well, he's got to come off the field, but yet they choose to put him on the field on third down.
I know.
Which we already know.
The guy stinks as a corner, but if he's Devin Hester, is it a busted draft pick?
That's a way that he can earn his second contract. So somebody in the YouTube chat before the stream mentioned him to put him at wide receiver. Now, that's a great idea when it comes to his yards after the catch ability, but he needs to catch the ball first, which ball skills is a tough thing for him. So I don't think that can work.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine we get the Dan Duggan tweet this week? Deontay Banks lining up at wide receiver. They're trying it.
That would be As the famous House of Pain once sang in Jump Around, pack it up, pack it in. Let me begin.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah, great song. If only we could hear it at the Meadowlands more. That would be the end of Daboll and Chain officially. That would be them waving the white flag if you put Deonte Banks at wide receiver. Imagine not having any interest in Travis Hunter and going, you know what, though? We got this Deonte Banks. We're going to play at wide receiver.
The only other legitimate note that I have on my computer and I have in my notes is need more out of Paulson to Debo. I do not think they had a very good game.
I agree.
I also
where is all this ball hawking ability we were told about?
You want to know why, Shaun? Because I think it works in two different ways. I think it also works in we do not have a defensive coordinator who refuses to put players like Javon Holland, Tyler Nubin, and but I'll especially put Paulson Adebo in this boat. A defensive coordinator who refuses to let his players play aggressive on the back end, despite that being who he was supposed to be branded to be coming out of Tennessee. Does a great job allowing the guys on the front end being aggressive. Abdul Carter gets pressure. Dexter Lawrence is eating these double teams. I mean, DJ Davidson and Darius Alexander found a way to feast against guards today and get pressure. Kayvon Thibodeau had a tackle for loss. So, yeah, I mean, you want to see a little bit more as the pass rush, but Spencer Rattler was getting rid of the ball quick. What pisses me off to no end is especially your cornerback one that you signed this offseason as like a guy that is one of the best in the NFL at passes defensed and forcing incompletions. You continuously play him 7 yards, 10 yards, whatever off the ball, and it doesn't allow him to make plays on the football. Like, thank God, there was even one play where Chris Olave fell, and instead of breaking on his left foot and then pushing out, he was running an out route to the sideline. He starts to break on his right foot, and then he trips. And that was another case in another scenario of Debo being so far back and given so much cushion that the Saints were just trying to take those hitches and those outs like we talked about in the preview pod, and they were taking that when it was available to them. So, like, this defense, again, this game is marked and branded by the turnovers and the mistakes made on the offensive side of the ball. But if there was a game where the Giants defense should have just kicked ass from start to finish, it had to be this football team. They are a soft defense by the way that their defensive coordinator calls it and by the way that their players are currently playing right now.
And I do think it's more coordinator, and there are a couple soft players of which we mentioned, but I'm with you. Look, the number 5 in turnovers, I'm going to keep reiterating this, is really irrelevant if put into context. It's the 3. I'm just going to keep pointing to the 3. The only way with 3 fumbles to win a football game is for your defense to absolutely kick the ass of the opponent, and they were anything but. It was just like, oh, okay, well, this game's on the offense, so, it doesn't really matter here. We'll just give up a play here, play there. Yeah, it doesn't matter that we're not hitting the quarterback. I'm completely with you. This is a total, well-rounded, blame every single phase of this football team effort.
Yeah. I also want to give a quick shout out to Nike. We have an awesome new partnership with them. Make sure you go check out our affiliate link in the description below to shop some amazing Nike gear. Get yourself a Dart jersey. Get yourself some Knicks stuff. I recently got my first ever Knicks shirt because I am excited about my New York Knicks. Shaun, we'll talk about exactly how we want to attack the preview pod for next week.
Short week in the podcasting community.
Short week. So we'll have a midweek-ish episode previewing Giants and Eagles, and then we'll see you Thursday night after the Thursday night football game. We're going to go live probably like maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes right after.
Sounds good.
Give a reaction there. And then we'll go forward, and then we'll travel to Denver, and we'll play a really good defense there. And then we'll go to Philly, and we'll play a really good team there. And then I think we'll come back home to the 49ers, unless I'm getting something wrong. But
prediction. Very quick prediction.
I would have loved to be 2-3.
I would too. The Giants are winning one of their next 3 games. They're not going 0-3.
Okay.
Does that do anything for you? Probably
No.
not. But you just set up hard. I'm going to tell you they're going to win one of these 3 games.
If it happens, then if it happens, then I'll be excited whenever that comes. But it also hit me that damn, this could be a really long 12 weeks.
Turn that frown upside down, pal. We got a rookie quarterback here. All right, will you? And you know what? Then let Dan Benton do the podcast if that's the puss on the face.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Dan Benton.
I got his name right?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
I love Dan Benton.
Okay, do that. Either that or have Nicky Snacks do it so we can leave it alone.
We'd make it 10 minutes in before we would have to end it because he said something that
he also, and I know he's listening, Nicky, you also jinxed Cam Scatterbo with your stupid Schlittler Scatterbo tweet this week. How about that? Wow. He doesn't fumble if Nicky Snacks doesn't put that in the atmosphere. How about that for a closing thought?
He better
go back to Wheel of Fortune, you bum.
He better take responsibility for that.
Yeah, he better.
I would love him to go back to Wheel of Fortune. He won like 30 grand.
Great.
All right. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. Appreciate you watching. We will see you for a Giants Eagles preview. Let's go, Giants.